Going on YouTube? This is your boy Sutton Def from the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel, here with a very, very special guest. This is Sip 2 Tally Films, my guy Coach Ivan Evans, man. Big shout out to him. Listen, guys, listen. We got to start it off with a round of applause. This man has been boots on the ground, doing Ravens community work for years now, and I've been following him for years. He's always putting out really good content. He's one of the film junkies, one of the few film junkies that we have on the Ravens YouTube community. So if you're not already familiar with Coach, make sure you go subscribe to him as well. His links are in the description. His @name is in the description as well. Listen, if you're watching on X, his @name is actually tweeted with this link as well. So make sure if you want to go follow him there too. If you're watching on Kick, big shout out to everybody watching on Kick. It's one of the newer platforms we're streaming on. And then also Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Of course, you guys all already know the drill. But Coach, before we run the intro, how are you doing, man? And thank you for coming on.
I'm doing great, man. I'm excited about what's to come for the season. Even though, the season for us is, I ain't gonna say it's secondary, but our season is January, unless some stuff go on throughout the regular. We don't foresee coming, but I'm just excited to see third year with Monken, second year with Orr, to see how the guys, respond to some continuity, and to see what kind of team we actually put out there with. It looks like a lot of depth. That's what it looks like.
Yeah. It definitely looks like a lot of depth. I said earlier on stream today that, on paper, the Ravens look phenomenal, right? But as you know, and as every football mind knows, that football is not played on paper, it's played on the gridiron. So with that being said, we do have some on paper stuff to get into. The personnel, the 53-man roster has to be set in stone by tomorrow, Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into this episode 329 of the Purple Rain Podcast. Yeah, so again, welcome back to episode 329 of PRP, the Purple Rain Podcast. Like I said before the intro rolled, I'm with a very, very special guest, Sip 2 Tally Films here, who's going to help me break down this 53-man roster. Now, as you guys know, I'm not a huge film guy, which is why, the few ones that we have in this Ravens community, we have to cherish, we have to give them their flowers. And so, again, I want to thank you for coming on, Coach, because I'm going to need you for this discussion, because the whole 53-man roster, I have not watched extensive tape on a lot of these different guys, but I know that you and some of the other guys in the community have. But, again, I want to thank you so much for coming on. You ready to get this going?
Yes, sir. Let's get it.
All right. And let me see, before we get into that, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up who's here in the live chat. We got Mod Cal in the house, says, what's up, Rain Gang? What's going on, Cal? Appreciate you for coming through. That's my sister right there. Let me see. E-Money says Mike Green will be better than T-Sizzle all time. Let's go. Ooh, that's lofty expectations. For second-round pick Mike Green. Let me see. We got Chris M in the house, one of our Purple Rain patrons. You guys saw at the top of the video, man. All of our members here are shouted out on the intro each and every single episode. Chris M is in the house. Another member, Tila M, is in the house as well. Giving a shout out to another member, Jing, who is in the house as well. So listen, we are in full effect tonight. You guys are already familiar with Coach, man. He's a guy who really needs no introduction in the Ravens space. And so I can't wait to get into this breakdown with him. Zeke Okage, what's going on, Zeke? Appreciate you for pulling up, popping out, coming through. Make sure y'all chime in the comments. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel as well. What's going on, ISO? I see you in the chat. D the official, I see you in the chat. What's going on? Appreciate y'all for coming through. All right, so Coach, before we get into the entire breakdown, because what we're actually going to be doing, we're going to be reacting to your 53-man roster prediction that you've posted, you've talked about on your channel. I've watched videos about you breaking it down. So I decided to ask you to come on our pod and kind of break it down with me. It's going to be a good time. But before we get into any of that, there was some news that dropped today. First and foremost, I want to get into who did not practice for the Ravens today. Let me see. Not practicing. This is per Jeff Zarebek, Patrick Ricard, Dayton Wade, Xavier Guillory, who actually broke his clavicle in the Commanders game, and that's very unfortunate. Xavier Guillory, actually, fun fact, is my next door neighbor's cousin. So had some expectations for him to do something with the Ravens, but it doesn't look like he'll be with the Ravens because of just a very unfortunate, very ill-timed I word. He got hurt. He got hurt. Isaiah Likely, of course, Mark Andrews, Baylor Cupp, uh, Emory Jones, of course, Reed Holsky, who actually got cut today. Jake Hummel did not practice. Adisa Isaac. We got Quinku, Jair Alexander, Chidobe Awuzie, and MJ Devonshire did not practice. So out of those names right there, Jair Alexander, and I just want to kind of touch on this really quick, Coach, are you having any concern right now for the amount of time that Jair Alexander has been held out of practice, relative to the amount of days that are left until the very first game against Buffalo?
I am not at this time. I think they know what they signed as far as him only playing half the season the past 2 years. And I think they're trying to be preventative on keeping him as fresh as possible to get as many games out of him for this year. I think he may have had a little minor something go on where they had to drain his knee, but I think because of that drainage is the reason why he's sitting out as much, trying to make sure he is as healthy as possible come in 2 weeks. I don't see a lot of concern from it yet. If he don't practice next week when they're like fully engulfed in like game prep, I would maybe get a little worried then. But right now I think it's precautionary, and I'm cool with it because I feel like he's going to be, even though we have a Awuzie, I think he's going to be a key component to what we do defensively, just because of the energy he brings and the swagger he brings. Like we played great defense, well, I can say great. We played good defense already, but when you got a guy out there like that gonna elevate everybody else. And
Yeah.
I think it's gonna elevate Nate Wiggins. It seems like him and Marlowe has got a nice little weirdish bond going on that I like, and I think it's gonna elevate the entire defense to just go make plays.
Yeah, and I think that's a very good point because it speaks to like a mentality on the defense that you have. And then also, like you mentioned, an energy. I
Mm-hmm.
mentioned this to Alex a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about Jair Alexander. And I was saying to him, like, getting kind of like a fresh face in that locker room, somebody who hasn't experienced all of the playoff traumas that the Ravens have in the past couple of years, somebody who's going to come in there with a bright, smiling face who doesn't have any, again, recollection of what happened last year because it didn't happen to him. Him
Mm-hmm.
coming in there and kind of changing the energy, turning around the energy in that room and kind of letting everybody know or making everybody feel that, look, it's a bright new season. It's a brand new opportunity. What are you going to do with that opportunity? And I think that a guy like that, characteristic wise, is so important, not to mention what he brings on the football field, but off the field, in between plays, the chemistry, and again, like just kind of the energy that the rest of the team is going to feed off of. You mentioned a guy like Nate Wiggins, Marlon Humphrey and him are very similar personality wise. Kyle Hamilton is the guy who I feel like can feed off of that type of energy as well. They're all doing the seatbelt lockdown, animation right now. Like it's all very, very cool to see. So I'm not, again, like you said, I'm not too concerned for Jair Alexander because like you mentioned at the top of the show, we need him for January. Like we
Mm-hmm.
need him for like later in the season as the going gets really tough. So definitely gonna have to still keep our eye out, of course, though, for Jair Alexander. A couple other things really quick before we hop into this roster breakdown. The Bengals, right? So the AFC North rivals to the Ravens, the Cincinnati Bengals, they finally ended their contract dispute, at least temporarily, with Trey Hendrickson, their edge rusher. So this was reported by Ari Myrov earlier today, about an hour ago. The Bengals are finalizing a new one-year deal contract with All-Pro defensive end Trey Hendrickson that should be close to $30 million per sources. He's still in the final year of his contract, and he's slated to be a free agent after the season. So basically here, and I want to get your take on this too, Coach. Basically, what I'm seeing happen was they decided to put a Band-Aid over a big cut. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're not fixing anything long term here. They're saying, you know what? Let's rip up the contract that you have, the remaining contract you have right now. Let's just do 1 year. Let's do 1 year. We'll give you $30 million. But the problem is, if he gets more than, I don't know, 10, 12 sacks, because I want to say he had 17 and a half last season, led the league.
Past 2 years, same number.
Ooh, I didn't even know it was past 2 years. See, that's
Mm-hmm.
crazy. That's crazy. That's almost 40 sacks in 2 years. That's ridiculous. But if this guy is able to not even necessarily just match that 17 and a half number, but maybe get 12 to 13 plus sacks, like if he can get somewhere in there, I think it'll be very, very hard to justify. If you're a Cincinnati Bengals, who that is your defense, Trey Hendrickson is your defense. It'll be very, very hard for me to move off of him. But what do you think about this whole situation with the Bengals kind of kicking the can down the road contract wise when it comes to D? And we know that they signed the big names on offense, but the defense, is not. It's not giving the same energy from them. Like, so what do you think about all this, Coach?
So first of all, I kind of feel what they going through in the reverse for us, but because we got all the big contracts on defense, but I really think they giving him this money, and they gonna shoot they shot at the Super Bowl, and if they don't get it, they gonna let him walk.
But they're not going to win a Super Bowl. They know they're not going to win a Super Bowl in this division.
They may not think that.
I know, but it's just crazy.
They feel like they can outscore everybody.
Right. And they averaged, 27 a game, I want to say, last year. They were top 10 in scoring per game. And still,
they think they can outscore everybody. They really do.
They do, which is, that's going to be their downfall. That's going to be their downfall. You're not the Chiefs, okay?
Yep.
You're not going to win a bunch of one-score games or go 11-0 in one-score games. You're not doing that if you're Cincinnati. I'm sorry. It's just not happening. But yeah, so that's touching on that. A couple other small things. Not necessarily small things. The holdout between Terry McLaurin and the Commanders ended earlier today as well. He signed a 3-year deal worth up to $96 million, so he got his money. I'm glad for him, glad for the Commanders. I want to see them do well. I really do. I would love to see them, either them or the Eagles, in the Super Bowl, if I'm being honest with you. That would probably be like my dream Super Bowl. Let me see what else. Jacoby Myers requests a trade out of the Las Vegas Raiders. That's another big one. A lot of teams looking for a wide receiver. He had over 1,000 yards last season.
And 123 catches.
Yeah, 4 touchdowns, I want to say. So, I mean, he could be a good product for somebody to go ahead and try to go ahead and scoop up. So, we'll see what ends up happening there. The Raiders actually signed Amari Cooper. So, very interesting stuff going on in Las Vegas. Not necessarily sure what their season is going to look like, but what do you think?
It's just with them signing Amari, is that maybe the reason he came out and asked for the trade today? It's a coincidence both of them things happened today.
Yeah, that's true. And, maybe Jacoby Myers feels like, okay, you're bringing in Amari Cooper. I already know you want to make Brock Bowers a huge part of this offense as well. You've got Genty back there. So, like, where do I fit in?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I agree. So he had to have known Amari was coming back before he went up there and asked for that trade.
Had to, 100%. Cal says my GOAT Jacoby with the heartbreak emoji. Oh my gosh. Let me see. Ash Marie in the house. What's going on, Ash? Appreciate you for coming through. We got TY in the chat as well, giving a salute. I see my guy Prod by Urban Closer in the house. Salute to you. Salute. Jeremiah. What's going on, my brother? Appreciate y'all for coming through to this episode 329 of PRP. Got my guy Sip2 Tally Films here. Almost 90 people watching live, so let's go ahead and get into what we came here to give them, Coach. So we got to break down this 53-man roster. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into the breakdown. All right. So, again, in front of us, this is the 53-man roster prediction, courtesy of our guy Sip2 Tally Films, who I have here with me. So, like I told you before we started the stream, Coach, we're going to go through each position group, but some of them are absolute givens, right? So in order to save some time, I think what we can do is we can kind of go through all of the position groups like we talked about before, the ones that give you pause, the ones that make you say, well, I don't know what might happen here. We might be able to flip-flop a guy here. There's an obvious one that's sticking out right here, right now, which we'll get into when we get to it. But again, man, so let's start from quarterbacks and work our way down. I think quarterback, that one's pretty obvious, right? Lamar Jackson, Cooper Rush, Devin Leary does not look like he's going to make the team, right?
True, and I don't even know if I want Leary back as the third emergency guy. Even though he showed some promise this last game, and Leary wasn't even the best, the top 3 quarterback last year on the team. Emory Jones was better than Leary.
Oh yeah.
And so for him to still be here, but we know that's T's guy, so they give him a little more time than others. But at least he did look like a quarterback this last preseason game. But up until then, he looked like Joe Blow off the street. But the other 2 guys, I'm cool with. And as far as say Lamar, don't play for whatever reason for a game or 2. I feel like Cooper Rush can win us a game or 2 based off what he did in Dallas, because he'll have a better team here than what he had in Dallas, a more balanced team, and he won't have to do as much. If he
That's
make the
true.
on time plays, get the ball to Derek, I feel like he could win us a game or two.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. Like Derrick Henry would be absolutely huge for whoever would be backing up Lamar Jackson had he, to sit out a game for whatever, the annual tummy ache or whatever
Mhm.
might happen. Yeah, Derrick Henry would be a huge part. I would assume he's gonna get, I don't know, somewhere around 20 carries, 20 plus carries, in a game without Lamar Jackson at the helm playing quarterback. So let's go ahead and move along here. Running back. So, of course, Derrick Henry, like we just talked about, Justice Hill is going to make the team. Keaton Mitchell seems to have his speed back. And then you have Rasheen Ali down
Mhm.
there as the fourth string running back. And I want to get your take on Rasheen Ali. Do you think that he's legitimate NFL back who you can throw down, if had it push come to shove and we had to start him for some reason, how much faith would you have in him? And what other roles do you see for Rasheen Ali on this team?
It's crazy the timing of you asking me this because if you could see my other screen, I'm actually editing a Rasheen Ali video
Ooh,
with
okay.
the answer to some of that in it. But I will say this: based off what he's shown me, what he's shown us this preseason, I feel like Rasheen Ali is an NFL caliber back.
Mm,
Uh, for us, he's obviously the fourth back, but there is one thing that I think he does better than Keaton, and that's pass pro. And we know for a running back, pass pro is almost as important as you running the ball. And so I've seen
yeah.
him pick up some blitzers and some linebackers, and the fact that he'll probably be the other kick returner, that's why I got him on here. Now, obviously, they said they wanted to keep four, so that kind of helped me put Rasheen on there. But I can see why they want to keep a fourth guy now. But his spot is going to be controversial because there are some other guys a lot of people feel like deserve that spot. But I think I'm good. I'm good with us having four guys, especially if him and Keaton both going to be the punt return guys, and they showed some promise with that. I'm cool with him being on the team.
Yeah, because I mean they'll probably rotate, and you said punt return, but like more so kick return,
I mean kick
right?
return. Yeah, I mean
Yeah,
kick
yeah,
return. That's what I meant. Yeah.
yeah. So that would hopefully they'll have those guys kind of rotating in and out. I've never really personally myself, I've never really liked the idea of having Keaton Mitchell as kick returner. I
Mm-hmm.
prefer him out of the backfield. You know what I mean? Like, don't have a bunch of guys who are much bigger than him running downhill at him. Let him get lateral to these guys. Let
Mm-hmm.
him get some outside runs, some tosses, some outside zones, things like that, so he can kind of use that speed. But it's kind of hard to use the speed when you have a bunch of guys again bigger than you flying down the field at you. Zay Flowers would agree.
Mm-hmm.
Zay Flowers says himself, like, like I would love to just get north and south, but it's hard when you're kind of undersized and these dudes are big as hell in the NFL. Like that's what he said
True.
verbatim.
True.
So, I've never really been a huge fan of Keaton Mitchell, but he's got to earn his keep somewhere because
Mm-hmm.
you got Derrick Henry, who is Derrick Henry, and then Justice Hill, who literally just does everything. Right, he
Yep.
does everything. Pass protection. He can run between the tackles. He can catch out of the backfield. He can
Mm-hmm.
stay open. Show his numbers to Lamar Jackson at any given time. We saw it in the playoffs against the Steelers. He's just a dude, way
Yep.
above average, if you ask me. Not just above average, way above average. Maybe not in that great category, but
I think
very
he's
underrated.
above average because he can do so much. He's like proficient at a bunch of different things. And
Yeah,
that's his value is underrated because is he the greatest runner? No. Is he the greatest catcher? No. Is he the greatest blocker? No. But he's so good at five or six different things that he's valuable to the team. Like him catching those screen passes and sometimes with terrible blocking, getting first downs
yeah,
or him running the
yeah.
outside zone when he gets a few opportunities. He got bursts that I really didn't realize until watching some stuff last year. So he as fast as Keaton is, Justice ain't slow either.
He's not. He's not. And we've seen him do so many things on the spectrum from like blocking Chris Jones in the backfield all the
Mhm.
way to like catching over the shoulder deep passes from Lamar for
Mhm.
touchdowns. Like, I mean, name me another player who can do those two things. I just like I couldn't really name a whole bunch of guys, you know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah. So let's go ahead and move on here. Just a little bit of a, big shout out, tipping the cap to Justice Hill there. But let's go ahead and get into wide receivers now. Go ahead and break down for me what we got going on at wide receiver across the board here on your list.
Okay. So at the Z receiver, we have DeAndre Hopkins is playing outside. The other
Mhm.
X is supposedly the main receiver. That's Rashad Bateman. And I got Zay Flowers in the slot, even though he's technically the number one. But what I like about them is all those guys can play in different positions, but just for the sake of this list, that's where I got them. Behind Zay Flowers, it's blank, but it's not blank because the guy that's behind Zay Flowers is over there up on the punt return, and
Mm.
that's LeJounte Wester. And that's why that little white mark is behind Zay Flowers. But I think Zay's backup will be LeJounte Wester, especially with Dayton Wade getting hurt. That really took the little the little doubt I had about Wester.
Hmm.
The Wade getting hurt took it out, and then we just didn't see enough of Anthony Miller to justify. Because I think Anthony Miller can go to the practice squad and come back. Well, get cut and come back to the practice squad. I don't think DeJounte can go get cut and they'll and not come back. I just something about him, especially with him, being a special teams guy, returning punts, because that's going to be huge, huge for this team to have even better field position with the offense we have, so we don't put Loop in 50, 60-yard field goals all the time. If you make one or two, yes, but with our offense and what we can do on special teams, Loop shouldn't have to make 50, 60-yard field goals all the time. There should be like end of half, end of game, that we run out of time, that he got to boom kicks like that. That rookie shouldn't be put in a place that have to constantly make 50+ yard field goals. Not with the offense we got.
Yeah, and the field position game. This is kind of deviating from the wide receiver talk specifically, but like the field position game is something that a lot of people don't talk about when it comes to this Lamar Jackson led Ravens team. I don't know if you know this, Coach, but in the playoffs, Lamar Jackson has never started a drive in opponent's territory. In a Lamar Jackson playoff, never started a drive in opponent's territory. So like when you talk about things like LeJounte Wester potentially being able to be that special type of punt returner like we saw week 1 against the Colts preseason, obviously that was an 87-yard touchdown. But if you can get, if this guy can have one a game or one every other game, even, because I know how rare it is where he gets to like midfield, like 40s range, on the field, like that is going to be so valuable for the Ravens. And again, like you said, you don't want Tyler Loop kicking 50 and 60 yarders, especially with him being a rookie. You don't want to shake his confidence like that too early, at least. But we got to find ways. If it's not going to be turnovers, John Harbaugh, I'm looking at you. You're a special team savant, apparently, right? You know what I mean? Like, let's get some more explosive plays on special teams. I'm excited what I see from LeJounte Wester so far. But let's go ahead and continue here with okay, so I agree with everything that you got here with wide receiver. I want you to talk about Tez Walker real
Okay.
quick, because for me, he was one of the best Ravens in the preseason. I wouldn't call him my MVP. I call Tyler Loop my preseason MVP just because he's a rookie and he kind of gave a lot of us solace in making some of those long kicks. He missed a couple, but he made a lot of good ones that give us some confidence. But Tez Walker, especially in that game against the Cowboys, Cooper Rush was just going to him back to back to back to back. I think he might have had like 5 catches in the first quarter. You know what I mean? So what are your thoughts on Tez Walker? Do you realistically see him and Todd Monken kind of, I don't want to say getting on the same page, but like getting him more involved in this offense? What do you think about that?
So I really think Tez is going to, I want to say split reps half and half, but I think Tez is going to get a lot more reps than we expect because we're trying to keep D-Hop healthy. Now, what you saw Tez do in that preseason game, I don't think that's Tez's role. I think Tez's role is to run deep routes, deep overs, to clear stuff out for all our really good pass catchers underneath. I think Tez is a guy that can make you have a safety over top, which will put us at a numbers advantage in the rest of it, and then we can run the ball, we can throw underneath, we can do whatever. But Tez, to me, his main job, and I feel like it should have been his job last year, but I guess they didn't trust him, just to go fast, go deep, and make them take another defender with you. Because the one guy running with you probably ain't fast enough to run with you. So they're going to have to put a safety over top. So now with them doing that, we're playing 10 versus their 9. And I like our chances with 10 versus 9 because we have a quarterback that can move as well. So we playing legit 10 versus 9.
Yeah. And you mentioned like Tez Walker running clear out routes and things like that. That's a really good point because I feel like in his only touchdown of his rookie season, that one was against the Giants, if you remember, that was kind of one of those type of routes. Let me know if I'm wrong here. I don't know if you can recall that play a little bit better.
There was a fake toss to Derrick Henry, and everybody bit up on it, and they threw it to Tez running right past him. So it was about a 30-yard touchdown, but all he did was run straight.
Yeah. And that kind of reminds me of kind of like the Miles Boykin role that he used to kind of he used to serve the same purpose. You know what I mean? Those clear. People just used to joke like, all we just see Miles Boykin do is just running straight. He just runs. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like getting cardio out there for the most part. But hopefully, like you said, hopefully we can see Tez Walker maybe get a little bit more. I think I set the over under for touchdowns for Tez Walker because I think he can get. I think he can get two. I think he can get himself two this year. Do you think that's crazy to say?
If they are, they'll be long. Because
Yeah,
I feel like once we get inside the 30, all right, Tez, you out, D Hop, you in.
that's true. That's very, very true. You're right about that. You're right about that. But all right, let's go ahead and move on here. Let's get into the tight ends, the tight end room. So this one is, pretty obvious as well. You got Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, who is potentially going to start the season on IR. What are your thoughts on the whole Isaiah Likely situation right now? When do you think he's coming back, and that whole thing?
My heart wants him to be back game one, but it's a long season. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And so if he really needs that time, give it to him. And if he starts on IR, I feel like that'll be one of those spots for one of those UDFAs to take up because I feel like Pat can be the third. We don't have to find another tight end. I think Pat will go in and just fill that role as that third tight end and still do some of the stuff that he do for fullback as well.
Yeah, yeah, totally agree there. And then of course there's Charlie Collar, who is going to have an opportunity to step up. In these early weeks, like you said, Isaiah Likely, probably best to err on the side of caution with him. My prediction is that he probably makes his debut in Baltimore Monday Night Football against the Lions.
Okay.
That would probably be my prediction. If not, maybe the following week against the Chiefs in Kansas City. But Charlie Collar is a guy who's going to have, some opportunities here. We know how much the Ravens like to run personnel with two tight ends. So what do you think that Charlie Collar, his impact will be in this offense before Isaiah Likely gets back? Do you think that he'll exceed more as a blocker, or do you think that we could possibly see him catching some passes out there and potentially some touchdowns?
So I do see him catching a few passes, but him as a blocker he's our best blocking tight end. If we not considering Ricardo tight end, he's our best blocking tight end.
Better
But
than Likely?
yes, because he would get in line and block down. Likely will really just block, the outside, smaller safety type guys. Kolar gets in there with the big ones and do work. And it does it effectively until they realize that, hey, he ain't but 165 pounds. They throw him out the way. But technique wise, he get in there and do what he needs to do. And I like Kolar as a blocker, and I think it's gonna help the run game with having him in there. And they'll give him a bone every now and again. Like was it Cincinnati? We had the nice long catch for
I
like 40 some yards.
believe so. Yeah, you got tackled just short. Yeah.
Yeah, and they'll throw him a bone every now and then. But and Kolar seems like a dude that I understand my role. I know what my role is, and I'm cool with it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, to me at least, I just I don't know, man. You talk about he's a much better blocker than Isaiah Likely. I've seen the things that Isaiah Likely can do in the blocking game. I mean, I've seen him get up on
In line,
linebackers too.
and it is always in space.
You're right
Likely
though.
stuff is
You're right.
always
It
in
normally
space.
is in space, yes. But you like that though. I mean, because
I
when we get
do.
these outside runs, you know what I mean, like Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, especially, like you see Isaiah Likely flying up the field, and Isaiah Likely, he's like a hybrid tight end and wide receiver, right? So he's got like the frame of both a little bit mixed in, right? So he gets up on guys, I think, a little bit quicker than they expect, and he's still got that power of a tight end, so he's able to really run through guys and kind of catch them off guard. That's what I love about Isaiah Likely's blocking. But you make a good point. It is normally always out in space.
And to clarify what I mean specifically in line, like helping with the run game in line. And like you said, Likely is a better blocker in space because Kolar don't move as well as Likely. So smaller guys will probably give him trouble that they can avoid him. But I mean just in line, like next to a tackle or whamming or something like that, or even down blocking on some stuff. I feel like Kolar is our best guy. But in space, Likely has, and I don't know if you call highlight blocks a thing, but Likely has like bone crushing, bone jarring highlight
He
blocks.
does. He does. He absolutely does. And I think that's probably the main thing. Like his wins are very, very loud. In the
Yes.
same way that like Daniel Faalele's losses are very, very loud. You know what I mean? Like I think it's the same thing with Isaiah Likely and his blocking. All right, but let's go ahead and move along here. So Pat Ricard, that's a given at fullback. We all know that. So let's get into this offensive line here. Let's get through this one. So left tackle, Ronnie Stanley, and then backing him up, Carson Vinson, who has been a name that a lot of people have been talking about. I want you, obviously, Stanley's the starter, but what do you see from Carson Vinson, and are you excited? if for him to get some playing time, if possible, anywhere, or what do you think about Carson Benson?
I love the pick, even though we all know he had a long way to go to be NFL ready, and I don't think he's NFL ready, but I've seen a lot of growth, a lot of maturation, a lot of promise from preseason game 1 to preseason game 3. Um,
Okay.
his thing coming out of college, he was a good down blocker, but not very good at everything else versus better talent. Because when he went to the Senior Bowl, initially he didn't look very good, but as the
Mm,
longer he was there, the better he looked. And so I think it's more of a, oh, I really can play with these guys coming from a SWAC school, HBCU school. And so I think the more confident he gets, the better he'll be. I even in SWAC film, you would always see him finish guys and be real aggressive and talk smack. You didn't see it in the Senior Bowl. You hadn't seen it in preseason game 1 or 2, but in
right.
game 3, you start to see it come out. He knocked a guy down right at the whistle for the Commanders on a Rasheen Ali touchdown, which is the play I have in front of me right now. Him and Corey Bullock executed a great block, and they dapped each other up and got excited. So once he gets his confidence up and he realizes, oh, I can play with these guys, and his body got to be better too, because as good as he looks, you got to keep in mind he ain't got much NIL. They ain't got the shelves and stuff that some of these bigger schools got. So he gonna have to use his first NFL year to get his body right, and he don't have a lot of baby fat on him now. So wait till he get him
Mm,
a chef and the nutritionist teach him how to eat and what he's supposed to eat, and he get a full year in the weight room. This man, in my opinion, gonna be a demon.
okay.
Cause he don't move like one of them big lumber. He don't run like a Ben Cleveland or a Falele or even Voorhees. He runs like a for real athlete. And so
One
you
thing
get
that
a
I
guy like
heard,
that. Go ahead.
yeah. Oh no, I was just gonna say one thing that I heard because you talked about his body. One thing that I heard from somebody who was breaking down some film, might have been Baldy, but they talked about his wingspan
Yes.
y-
The wingspan
and
of
how,
LeBron.
yeah, wingspan of LeBron. Where did I hear that from? I can't exactly
Baldy.
remember.
It
Baldy.
was
Okay, yeah,
Baldy.
okay, good. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so wingspan of LeBron, and like that's something to me. I feel like, and you could speak to this way better than I could, but like, does that help a tackle on the outside being able to kind of stab and punch like a little bit early, like from a further distance?
That's exactly it. Being able
Got
to
you.
shoot them hands and keep just hold them up just enough, because you really only trying to win for 4 seconds. So
Right.
if you can shoot the hands and bag them up for a half a second to a whole second, that's 25% of the victory right there.
Yeah.
If you can keep
Okay.
them off. So his long arms in pass pro would definitely help, especially with, because the defensive the edges are gonna be way more athletic than the tackles. It's just the natural progression of football. So for him to have long arms, especially in even better in the run game, where he can kind of turn people the way he needs to do it and press them out. But what's more effective with his own arms is the fact that he plays low. And that's what a lot of people that
Mm,
size don't play low. Ben Cleveland don't play low. And I think Ben Cleveland's 6'6". Falele don't play low. He's 6'8". Carson Vincent is right in the middle, and he's 6'7". And he plays extremely low. Like on double teams, you see him attack people's hip. And for a guy that tall to get that low, to get at people's hips, who's already in a 3 or 4 point stands, that's some elite being. That's some elite genetics that,
mm.
like I said, that clay is molded right, I think he's gonna be a guy, and Warhop, bang the table for him. So if Warhop can mold him and to walk in and take Ronnie's spot in 2 years, it'd be great. But I think next year he's gonna push somebody for a spot, not necessarily Ronnie's, but I mean, if we don't have the season that we had in the preseason from the right side, it might be that right side.
Yeah, and we're gonna get to that right side in just a second with Mr. Rosengarten. But no, that's really good stuff on Carson Vincent. Ronnie Stanley, I'm glad that he's sitting in front of him. He's the one who can kind of usher him into being a true, pro in this league, and that's a luxury. It's a luxury right there. Going on to the left guard spot. Andrew Voorhees, who I've heard has been putting a lot of good stuff on tape in the preseason, hasn't really had a whole lot of misses, if any. I want you to talk about the left guard spot, and then in Ben Cleveland as well. We know that he can kind of shuffle around here on the offensive line in a couple of ways, but talk about Andrew Voorhees first. What's your assessment on him?
Voorhees has looked good, and Voorhees has looked okay in the preseason. He looked solid. He was solid. I still just think about this: injured coming out of college, won the starting job last year, injured again. I'm worried about him playing a whole season. His like
Mm.
his physical attributes and what he can do, I think are good enough to be on the whole line. But I'm worried about can he make it 16, 17 and whatever in the playoff games. That's what I'm worried about because he hadn't shown that in the past 3 or 4 years. He hadn't played a lot of football.
Yeah, I mean, best ability is availability. We always
Hmm.
hear that. And and I wanted to ask you about Voorhees because everybody loves to talk about that right guard spot on the Ravens and like what's going on there, like why haven't we done this, that, and the third, but nobody really talks too much about the left guard spot, which was also up for grabs and up until a couple of weeks ago when it was kind of made, solid that he won that job. So we'll see how he does in the season when the season comes, and that's in less than 2 weeks at this point. So
Hmm.
I'm excited to see this entire offensive line. But moving on here, Tyler Linderbaum, of course, he's going to hold it down at center, and then at right guard you've got Daniel Falele, and then Corey Bullock behind him.
Hmm.
Talk about the right guard spot a little bit. Like, what do you see? Let's talk about 77, Mr.
Okay.
Falele. What if you had to say something good about Daniel Falele? What's your favorite thing about him? I want to start with that.
It's massive.
Mm.
Him
So it's
being
just a
massive.
size thing.
And, well, that size helps him out because even if he don't do some things technically right, him leaning on you will wear you out, or you
That's
having to
true.
avoid him, you got to take extra steps to get around him because he's so big. So those are two positives, and all he doing is just walking out there.
Mm. So you're saying that he's more so. Well, here's one thing that I've heard. He's a lot better in run blocking than it is pass blocking. And I think that a big reason for that is his feet.
Hmm.
Sometimes he's just not quick enough. Sometimes they have him pull, and sometimes he just completely misses his target because he's not quick enough. So is that the detractor that you have for him as well? Is it? So you said his size is he's a mountain of a man. Of course, we know
Hmm.
that, but is it his feet is the only thing that's holding him back from being a true, like, legitimized Pro Bowl level guard? Because I don't know what happened last year, but yeah, go ahead.
I think his feet is part of it, but I just don't think he's as strong. He's not as strong as I feel like he should be. And he may be strong in the weight
Mm,
room and whatnot, but he don't play strong, if that makes sense. I feel like he should
got you.
lock on the guys and just run them up out of there. And he don't do that at that size. And maybe it's functional strength, I don't know, but at 6'8", 380 or whatever, and or 360, because he looks really good now compared to past. Them 20 pounds off of him look good, but he just don't move people like I feel like he should. Like I feel like when you pull and a linebacker just pop up, even if you hit them wrong, they still should go backwards.
Right.
He'll pull and linebackers it'll be a stalemate. Neither one of them move, and that
That's true.
shows me
Like,
that
you
they
should be
probably have
mauling
more.
guys
Yeah,
coming around that corner. Yeah.
yes.
Hmm.
And the one time he did do that, Sutton, he got tripped and he fell face forward into the block and pancaked whoever it was that came around the corner.
Uh, uh,
But I will say this:
okay.
he's better. He's better than what he was last year. He's better than what he was game one this season. So I don't know where that floor is. It might be up under the house, but he's definitely better than where he was. So, and we know he was starting. That was other than Ronnie and Linderbaum, and we knew for a fact Lele was starting. It was never a doubt about that.
Ty says here 77 plays soft. He needs to fight like he is in a phone booth. One thing that I see from Falele from time to time is sometimes he can tend to be a little bit of a hugger, right?
Yes.
So like he's letting the defensive tackle like get into his numbers, right?
Hmm.
And he's trying to stop it by grabbing onto their shoulder pads and just trying to hold on for dear life. And like that's just not what you want to do. You talked about like playing low. I feel like
Hmm.
that would be something if he could do that a little bit better and kind of get into guys and use that push that use that frame, that massive, you know the measurables that he has, and kind of get underneath guys, he would be an absolute monster.
I
He'd be a
agree.
mauler, but I just don't know
Need some
what he
yoga.
would have to do for sure. Exactly. Maybe it's a mobility thing, but what I don't know what he would have to do to lose that job. Because I joke with Alex, I say it's not even his job to lose because I don't see him doing anything that will warrant the coaches to move off of him.
If they let him make it last year, off the crap that we saw last year,
That's what I'm saying.
he, as they say in the hood, he stamped.
Yeah, he got the longest leash in the yard. I don't understand it. I
He's
don't get it,
stamped.
but yeah, he's exactly. And then
He
Corey
knows
Bullock
something.
behind him. Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Go ahead with Bullock.
Bullock had a very underrated preseason, playing center, and some of the stuff that he showcased at center leads me to feel like he can play guard as well. And the reason I didn't put him behind center because I still think Ben Cleveland's a better center than him. Because Ben looked
Mm,
really good at center when he played last year. Now I don't know if they'll give him the opportunity this year because he didn't do it at all in the preseason. But Bullock could play center or guard, and I'm cool with that because now you can take Mac out of there, who really didn't show much of anything. So I like Bullock being like backup center or one of those backup guards if something happens.
yeah. Always good having the depth across the offensive line, guys who can kind of plug and play here and there. That is something that the Ravens will be missing in a guy like Patrick McCarry, who was that guy for so long, for so many years, and now having guys like Ben Cleveland, Corey Bullock potentially even, who can kind of play multiple positions when need be. Very valuable, very, very valuable. Even though they might not be the best, like as long as they're serviceable, and we've
Right.
seen Ben Cleveland be serviceable at that center position as well. So let's go ahead and move along here. So Roger Rosengarten at right tackle, and then backing him up would be Joe Noteboom. What is your assessment on Roger Rosengarten? Because you kind of, I don't want to say threw a little bit of shade at him earlier, but you mentioned, if the right side don't look too hot, what makes you think that the right side might not look too hot? I mean, because we saw Roger Rosengarten last year locking up the likes of a T.J. Watt, shutting them down. So, do you have any gripe with Rosengarten right now?
I don't. I feel like Vincent's a year behind him, and I think Vincent's a better run blocker than him already. Now Rosengarten is hands down a much better pass blocker than Vincent. But I feel like if Vincent could close that pass blocking gap, I think Rosengartner. I ain't gonna say he's in trouble, but he'll really have a guy that's like chomping at his heels to maybe get some snaps, and maybe next year, if he progresses the way I think he will, Vincent would be the swing tackle, and that to back up both of them. But I think now the positive of Rosengartner gets to some blocks that I don't see how very many left tackles can get to. I've seen him jump over like legs of Farlele to go cut off a backside backer that has already gotten 2 or 3 steps on him because he's that
Yeah.
fast. And so that stuff right there is highly underrated, being able to do that. So I ain't got nothing bad to say about him, but I just feel like that Carson's a better run blocker than him. And if Carson can close that gap pass pro wise, and I'm saying this now, the pass pro gap is enormous. It's enormous. But if Carson can close some of that down, he may feel a little heat, and he may not. You just never know. May not, because at some point, Rodney gonna be gone. You're gonna need 2 guys.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's true. Like we talked about, man, just having that depth across the offensive line, guys who can plug and play. I mean, invaluable, absolutely invaluable. Manuel's COD channel says, "What's up, Sutton and Coach? What's going on, Manuel? Appreciate you for coming through." I got about 170 plus people watching live right now between X, between YouTube, between Kick as well. Shout out to all of you guys. If you're part of the hashtag replay gang, meaning you're not watching live, but you're part of the replay group, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below your thoughts, questions, concerns, whatever you got, because we love to see those. We love to reply to those as well. Let's go ahead and move along here. Let's get into the defense. We spent a good amount of time on the offense. I hope we're not running too low on time here, but we'll try to get through. Okay, cool. We'll try to get through this stuff in a pretty efficient manner here. So going down to the defense, which is actually low key, probably the more interesting side of the football when it comes to roster cut down day. Let's start off with the actually, I kind of wanted to start with the DBs. I'm not
Hey, we
gonna
can.
lie.
Let's go ahead. Go ahead.
I wanted to start with the DB. So I'm starting at the bottom here. I see you got right cornerback, Chidobe Awuzie and Jair Alexander. And this is why I wanted to start here, because you have Awuzie higher on your depth chart. I don't know if you ranked them that way. Like Awuzie is going to be the starting, right cornerback, and Jair Alexander is going to be kind of like the backup rotational guy. But what do you see there?
I'm just going off the reports that I got from camp. When they ran ones, Awuzie ran with the ones. Jair went with the twos. But Jair did come way later than Awuzie.
Yeah,
And the fact that
true.
both of those guys are older gentlemen, I feel like they'll sub each other out to try to keep each other fresh. So that's why I kind of got them down there together. You got two vets that both of them kind of got like injury history. You put them down together, they can kind of sub each other out and keep each other fresh, and that way be good when December, January, February hits. And that's why I got them there together. But from the reports I've seen, when they do 11 on 11, if all the DBs are there, Wuze been going first.
Okay. I mean, and yeah, you make a good point. The reports did he has been with the team a little bit longer throughout this offseason, and the reports did say he was with the one. So, and then again, Jair, as it stands right now, we don't really know in terms of like health concerns what he's gonna look like, if he's gonna be ready to play. I know Woozy is a little bit banged up right now too, but I think that Jair's thing is a little bit more serious if I had to guess. But going on from there, looking at the free safety, we got two interesting names here. So Malachi Starks, who I want to ask you a question on in a second, but Sanusi Kane, what does Sanusi Kane bring to this team?
If I could change one of them, that'd be the one I change. Okay. If I could change one of my picks, that'd be the one I definitely would change. But what I like Sanusi is as a thumper, and I was trying to keep free safeties in there, but when I was doing this, I forgot that Jalen Norman Davis had played some safety too. And so that kind of made me exclude a certain somebody that I feel like I probably should have put on that list.
Yeah, and yeah, now that I'm looking through, that's right, you don't have him on this list, the guy that we're kind of alluding to here. I do see you have Ruben Lowry up there, who we're going to get to in a second. But no, I agree. I mean, I think that Sanusi Kane is definitely the few plays that I have recollection of are him kind of being a crash dummy, running into guys full speed and that sort of thing, which is always appreciated, right? You always want a guy who's going to go out there and lay it all out on the line. That's just But moving on from him, Malachi Starks, and real quick, we got a super chat donation. This one's coming from D Wise. What's going on, D Wise? Appreciate you for coming through, dropping the 2-piece in the chat, making it rain here on episode 329 of the Purple Rain podcast. Says, I see Jair as dime corner. Could be seeing a whole lot more dime, more corners on the field this year, especially with all the the personnel we have. I think that Zach Orr, who I'm gonna call this year, I'm gonna call him Exotic Zach. I'm gonna call him Exotic Zach this year, because I think that this is the year that the game slows down for him as a second-year defensive coordinator. He starts to throw out some crazy looks and preview some crazy packages out there that we have not seen before, and that's really gonna confuse offenses. You always got to stay a step ahead. He's got a huge advantage, I think, this year, having guys like Dean Pease, Chuck Pagano in his corner. There's no lack of knowledge in the building, and with the Zach Orr being a young guy, I know he wants to be aggressive, so expect some aggressive stuff and some exotic stuff. So Exotic Zach is my name for him this year. But again, thank you, D Waz, for your super chat donation. We truly do appreciate it. Let me see. So Malachi Starks, that's where we left off. Malachi Starks, out of Georgia, first round pick. What do you really expect from him? Of course, free safety in tandem with, and we can kind of make this a twofer, right? Because Kyle Hamilton is right above him, obviously that strong safety. What do you think their roles are going to be in Exotic Zach's second-year defense?
I think coming out, Malachi Starks is going to have the target on his back, because you know what Wiggins bring, you know what the other guys bring. The unknown in that secondary is Starks. I think other teams are going to try to target him to see, hey, if he NFL ready, and he gonna have to prove his worth early, which may lead to a few struggles. That don't necessarily mean we're gonna lose, but that may lead to him, because I feel like people gonna come at him with him being, I want to call him the weak link, but the youngest back there, and he a rookie. So they're gonna test your oil and see if you really about that life. And I think he's, if he has success early when people doing that to him, I think the sky's the limit for him to be extremely successful in our offense. Now I will say this, like in the draft process, I wanted Makuba, but that was with the thinking that Darius was still there. By us drafting Starks, I think he's gonna fit perfectly. Because Makuba's just a straight free safety. Starks can do a little bit of everything. And so I think we picked the perfect dude for our system, looking back on it. So he's gonna be versatile, he's gonna be around the box, he's gonna be deep, play a little nickel corner if if different package presents himself. So I think we got the perfect guy. And if he shows them in the first 2 or 3 games, and them by meaning the other opponents, that hey, he can handle himself, then the other teams will try to balance it out. And I can see him having 4 or 5 interceptions.
Just because people are gonna try to pick on him, he's
Yes.
gonna have to prove himself. I got you. Yeah, and see that's a question that I always ask Alex. I talk about how like on paper, this Ravens secondary, it looks like okay, who are you gonna pick on? If I'm Aaron Rodgers and I'm sitting down with the offensive coordinator and Mike Tomlin looking at film and it's Ravens week, right? And we're talking about who are we gonna go after in this Ravens secondary? There is no more Brandon Stevens.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Are we going to go after the rookie safety and Malachi Starks? Are we going to go after the second year corner, young, maybe a little bit inexperienced still, Nate Wiggins? Are we going to go after
Mm-hmm.
him? Where is the weak link? I don't really see it too much. Chidobe Awuzie is a guy who maybe they try to target, that sort of thing. I don't know, but it's interesting that you bring up the fact that Malachi Starks could be again the guy with the target on his back in this situation. It's very interesting. Let me see here. So Ruben Lowry had himself a nice preseason. What are your thoughts on him, Ruben Lowry?
I feel like he's an extremely smart football player. The kind of football player that the Ravens love, that can, like we talked about with Malachi, can do a bunch of different things.
Hmm.
Watching it in college, he was considered a corner, but when I watched him on tape, I was like, man, this dude a safety. And then seeing what
Hmm.
they did with him and how they deployed him in his preseason, I was right. They using him as like a safety, and he just he constantly made plays. Like he's been one of the most consistent names we've heard from the opening day of training camp up until the interception he got, whatever game that was. We always hear them talk about Ruben Lowry. Ruben Lowry this. Ruben Lowry had 2 picks. Ruben Lowry made a stop, and he's been the most consistent name that we've heard throughout camp. So, I feel like he's done more than Bo Braid and again, like I got Sanusi on here, but that's the one I could take off. I think he didn't outplay both of them.
Okay, okay. I mean, high praise from him. Like I said, did have a very nice preseason. Seemed to be kind of everywhere, cleaning stuff up, and you love to see that from a young guy. Let me see here. Let's go ahead and move right along. We got Marlon Humphrey and Jalen Armour Davis as slot corners. Before we get into that, another super chat donation coming from DWAS, again dropping another 2-piece in the chat. Big shout out to you, DWAS, making it rain again here on this episode of PRP. Says, do you think we will run a lot of man or cover 2 or cover 3?
Going off last year numbers, it was a lot of man and a lot of cover 3. Even though it was disguised in different ways, it was a lot of man and a lot of cover 3. And even though we'll have 2 high shell a bunch, don't believe the pre-snap look. It's almost always goes to something else. It's very rare that you have a 2 high look and it's cover 2.
Yeah,
Rarely.
yeah, man. It's as we know, a lot of chess is being played pre-snap at the line of scrimmage. Especially the smarter the quarterback you have, and the freedoms that he has back there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Also, they play into how these things kind of break down in real time. And it kind of reminds me. This is just a quick aside here. I don't know if you heard about the news that came out last week. Or talked about Greg Roman when he was offensive coordinator for Lamar. He wouldn't allow him to change protections or like change the play and things like that. He basically wanted Lamar Jackson to run the offense exactly how he wanted to, and no input from Lamar Jackson, no creativity, which definitely limited him clearly. So,
And he won
but
MVP.
and he won MVP with that, which is crazy, but thank you again so much for your super chat donation, DWAS. Appreciate you each and every time. Make sure you guys like the video. Subscribe to the channel as well. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe to Sip to Tally Films as well on YouTube. Follow Coach on Twitter. All of that is linked in the description. Okay, let's go ahead and keep it pushing here. So, of course, Jalen Armour Davis, he earns himself a spot. He looked good in some spots in the preseason, like what I saw from him, a couple PBUs. So I don't have any problems with you putting him there at all. Nate Wiggins, of course, at left cornerback. And then TJ Tampa backing him up. TJ Tampa, where are you at with TJ Tampa right now?
Even though he had snaps last year, to me, this is rookie campaign because he was injured, and he played a little bit of special teams on the back end. I don't think we saw him at all in the preseason last year because he wasn't healthy. To me, this is rookie season, and with a guy with arms like that, and as a fairly decent ball guy, the reps he got this preseason. I think the first preseason game he played every snap, every defensive snap. So they need to see reps because we only had two people to do that, if I'm not mistaken. TJ Tampa played the first game every snap, and then this last game, Carson Vincent played left tackle every snap. So I think they're trying to get guys that they see something in. They're trying to get them as much film as possible because you're probably not going to see them much in the season, so they can evaluate where they're at and make decisions going forward. At least have them some tape to say, hey, I need to work on this, that, and the third. And I think that's what they did with TJ Tampa in that first game, and I think that's what they did in Vincent in this last game. But I like Tampa being technically the sixth corner.
Yeah. Yeah. And just really quick, because we haven't really mentioned, before we move on from the DBs, we haven't mentioned Keon Martin. And that we've kind of alluded to him, but I want you to kind of talk a little bit about what you saw from Keon Martin during this preseason. You said that you might change, you might actually throw him in there. First of all, what made you leave him off, and what's making you want to put him back on?
Okay, so I made this. When did we play? Saturday morning.
Yeah,
I made this Friday at my desk at work, and I was like, well, this is gonna be my 53 unless somebody really do something to tip that over. And I think Martin tipped that over with that pick six and something the way he was playing in the run game, getting off of blocks, going to make tackles. Because he already had my attention with the tackle for loss and the safety in the Dallas game. And like I said, I really should, if I hadn't done this before that game and I already had the video and stuff made, I probably would have took him out because I think he deserves that spot over Sanusi. And that's kind of why I did the video on him yesterday to kind of, so the Ravens flock wouldn't murk me for not putting him on my list because I knew I kind of messed up when he did what he did Sunday. But the way he plays the run game, that pick six and the way he adjusted to that, and just like I said, just staring at the quarterback and kind of looking at the receiver out his peripheral. And when the quarterback reared back to throw the ball, he stuck that foot in the ground and went and got it. And that's we go from Brandon Stevens not turning around to a dude that may be the fifth or sixth corner or the fifth or sixth safety getting pick sixes. It's no brainer to me. And like I said, he's not on my list, but he should be.
Yeah, yeah. And I predict that he probably will make the team as well. But let me see what else we have here. Let's get into the juicy stuff. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of this episode here. This is gonna be so we got strong side linebacker, we got right inside linebacker, left inside linebacker, weak side. Let's talk about all these positions here.
Okay.
I want to start with the odd man over here, this third, David Ojabo. Why do you think that David Ojabo deserves to make this team?
Because Adisa Isaac hurt.
That's the only reason. If Adisa Isaac was not hurt, then a David Ojabo. Got it. Okay. I just want to make sure. I figured as much, but yeah, I just want to make sure. All right, so looking at who you have here, Kyle Van Noy, and then behind him, Tavius Robinson, and then just to go to the other side here, Adafe Owe and Mike Green as well.
Correct.
Talk a little bit about, before we get to the linebackers, the inside linebackers, talk a little bit about what you see from this edge rushing group, what you expect to see out of an Adafe Owe and a Kyle Van Noy, of course, who's not getting any younger. Adafe Owe coming off of 10 sacks, going into a contract year. Tavius Robinson impressing, the coach is impressing everybody and looking good in moments in the season as well. And then, of course, Mike Green. What do you see from all these guys?
I'm looking for about 30 sacks. And not that one of them like goes off and get 15 or 16, but as a whole, I'm looking for about 30 sacks between Owe, Mike Green, Van Noy, Tavius, and whatever Ojabo can give us. So because you finally got a secondary to kind of help you out. You have to in turn now help the secondary out too. So when they cover, you have to get home. And if Travis is healthy, and you add Fubb into that mix too, you can get interior pass rush, which will help the edges out.
Yes,
because they're gonna have to double those guys inside first. And the way Fubb has been looking with in the pass game, he's gonna be tough for guards to block him with the way he fights with his hands and the different things he does. The M2 interior guys and Matter BK as well. They should really help the edge guys out to get true one-on-ones. And they got to win their one-on-ones. Now, if they don't win their one-on-ones, then they got a problem. But as an edge guy, if you get a one-on-one battle, you got to win that at least once and at least get a pressure or a hurry or QB hit or something.
And that's the thing. Mike Green seems like the type of guy who can just flat out win one-on-ones, right? And he does it like with an array of pass rushing moves. And I've talked about this on the channel too. It's not just the amount of moves that he has, it's the fact that he's able to kind of chain them together and kind of like if one thing's not working on the same rep, he can get to another pass rush move, and more times than not, that'll get him to his target, which of course is the quarterback. So I'm very excited to see, what Mike Green has to offer. Of course, he's kind of like the hot name coming out of this year's offseason acquisitions, because I mean, let's face it, edge rusher is a premium position in this league, right? If you have like a game-wrecking guy like a TJ Watt, like a Myles Garrett, that's why these guys get so much money. Trey Hendrickson, that's why these guys get so much money, because they impact the game on a totally different level. And I want to say this, the Ravens past 2 years have been top 2 in sack production, right? However, it doesn't really feel like we have that good of an edge rushing room. At the same time, can you speak a little bit to why that may be? Why it may feel that way?
Because we get sacks from linebackers, safeties, and stuff like that. Having Kyle anywhere close to the line, you gotta find him, because he can blitz at any time. And at one point, I felt like him and Queen, when we still had Queen, were our best blitzers. And now him still being there, he's a really good blitzer. We've never in recent history had a guy that say, "Hey, you got to be worried about him on every snap," like a TJ Watt or some stuff like that. We had that since Sizzle. But you get some guys or a guy over there that he's going to be the focus. Them other 3 or 4, they got to eat. So whoever's not getting double teamed, you got to win your one-on-ones. And I think we got enough guys up front that are serviceable enough to win 1 or 2 reps of one-on-one and out of 40 pass rush reps.
Yeah. And you mentioned my guy Adafe Owe. I want to ask you a question about him. I've asked a bunch of people this already, and I haven't asked you. I want to get your take. How many sacks do you think that Mike Green would have to have this season in his rookie year in order for the Ravens to just no-brainer move off of Adafe Owe?
10.
10 sacks?
If he matched what Owe did last year. And the thing about that is, even if Owe go out and get 14, 15, 16, he then price himself out, in my opinion.
That's true. You're right. But dang, 10 sacks though? I mean, I was thinking more like
Mike gonna be a backup. You get 10 sacks from a backup?
Yeah. And that's why I was thinking, because I don't think that the Ravens are going to give him a full, 3-down roll, things like that. They're going to have the training wheels on Mike Green, especially as the season gets going. Like, I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of him. So to get 10 sacks and kind of being held back in your first year because you have 2 double-digit sack production guys out there in Van Noy and Owe already, if he gets 10 sacks, then that would be amazing. I was thinking more so in the range of like 6 to 7 sacks. I would say like 7 sacks would be like the magic number. If you can get 7, it's like, okay, we can develop you, Owe. Yeah, we're gonna let you go.
That's why I say if he get 10, they not even negotiating with Owe. Like, thank you for your service. We appreciate you. Good luck with your next team.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what it would seem like. But man, I'm excited, man. And you talked about the interior of that defensive line as well. We can kind of go ahead and actually, you know what? No, we skipped over. We skipped over the linebackers. Skipped over the linebackers. Roquan Smith. And then Jay Higgins. So you have Jay Higgins in here. We gotta address the elephant in the room. So it came out today, right, that John Harbaugh said that it is all but confirmed, pretty much, that Jake Hummel will make the 53-man roster. Was held out of practice today. Had some sort of a hand-eye word going on, but he said that Jake Hummel's going to make the roster, which means that Jay Higgins, probably, who's a player on the bubble, is probably not going to make the 53-man roster. Do you agree with that assessment from the Ravens coaches? If not, is you're already shaking your head, why not? Why don't you agree with Jay Higgins not being at the forefront of the Ravens coaches' minds?
Hummel has shown me nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing. And if people saying, we just keep Hummel around for special teams, well, the 2 UDFAs more athletic than him. Martin and Higgins. Let them play special teams.
Yeah.
He showed me nothing. Nothing. I
I,
call him Handman Hummel because he missed a set of practices. I think for his wife having a baby. I think is what it was, and then he missed another set of practices for his hand. So we ain't see him practice until maybe the right when preseason started, and then in the preseason games he showed me nothing.
yeah,
And so I guess his hand is the reason why he didn't play this last game. And if he played, I didn't see him.
yeah, and what did you see from Jay Higgins that you think would justify him making this team?
Spatial awareness, the ability to read and react, could catch the freaking ball. It's just good linebacker play. Good young
Yeah.
linebacker. The same stuff he showed at Higgins came from Iowa, right?
Yeah, yep.
Same stuff he showed at Iowa is the stuff I saw in the game. It didn't look no different. And it's 2s and 3s out there, but the same stuff he put on tape at Iowa, he did for the Ravens.
Yeah, I mean, and I talked about this earlier today. I'm a big fan of Teddy Buchanan, and I want to get your take on him as well in comparison to a Jay Higgins. But I was watching Jay Higgins' film, and I was kind of thinking to myself, like, he kind of reminds me of like what a usered linebacker on Madden would look like. You know what I mean? Like, that's what he kind of reminds me of. Like, when you're playing Madden, you want to click onto your linebacker so you can kind of take away all the short underneath stuff, things like that, all the easy stuff people want to take advantage of on offense. And then when you do get a chance to make a tackle, you want to hit stick him, right?
Yes.
You want to hit him. And like, this is a guy who he runs up on dudes with violent intentions, and he really hits them hard. I love that. And again, he's instinctual. He can also give you a little bit, sticking with the Madden terms here. He can give you a little bit of user lurk ability, right? That pick that he got against the Cowboys, man. I mean, he dropped back in that zone, and like the quarterback never saw him, saw him. Like, to be like just that kind of, I don't know, in clandestine, I guess you could say. Like, he was invisible to him, and he picked it off, and it was beautiful to see. But Jay Higgins, and the guy just also looks the part.
Yes.
He also looks the part. He looks like a star linebacker. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I don't know what it is, but he just looks the part. Kind of like in the same way, and this is unrelated, totally unrelated. You see, Abdul Carter, the Giants' first round pick. He looks the part. You know what I mean? Like, he looks like a bona fide star. I don't need to see nothing on the field. I just know that guy is good. It's just a certain football look certain guys have. I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking, but let's go ahead and let's get to Teddy Buchanan here. I want to get your take. Teddy Buchanan or Jay Higgins, because some people can go either way.
I wouldn't mind either one of them being the third linebacker. I see where Jay is more cerebral. I think Teddy is more athletic. And if Teddy just needs to add to that cerebral part. And if Teddy can add to the cerebral part, he'll blow past Jay Higgins because he's way more athletic, way more explosive. Situational football, maybe Jay has still advantage, but as far as the measurables and you want a guy that can run around and do a bunch of different things, that's Teddy. And again, Teddy being that athletic, special teamer. Jay being a backup linebacker, special teamer. What is so important about having Hummel on your special teams? That baffles me.
You're right. I don't know. He's just, Hummel seems like, and I may be wrong here, but he might just be one of Harb's guys. You know what I mean? Like, just one of his guys. And when Harbaugh likes a guy, much like
when he hates
other
you,
guys on that roster, it's exactly. You can tell when he doesn't like a guy. You can tell when he does like a guy. He kind of does play favorites, and it sucks because it's supposed to be a business. You're supposed to make the best decision for the roster, and at the end of the day, who are we to say we know more than John Harbaugh? Actually, he's watching the practices, he's evaluating all these guys. But from what we see, man, I just don't know how you can justify what we saw in the preseason games, which we all have access to, all this film, right? And our guy Sip Tally films. He's a film guy, so he watches it. We don't see anything out of Jake Hummel, but we do see production out of Jay Higgins, and he should not. I'm gonna be sick to my stomach if he does not make this 53-man roster and he doesn't make it through waivers, right? And the Dallas Cowboys or somebody random pick him up, and he starts to make a name for himself elsewhere. I would be sick to my stomach.
True. Now, I did see a tweet from the Ravens salary cap guy, and it was basically showing like the history of people that we cut, being picked up by other teams, and there's not many names on that list as I would have thought. Like from his tweet, there was nobody last year that we cut that other people picked up. 2 years ago, it was Caillou Blue Kelly and somebody else who we really don't care about either one of them. And then the
Right.
third year ago, it was nobody. So if that trend goes, we probably could get him back. But based off of what I saw from the entire defense in 3 games, they were running regular season schemes in preseason. So that lets me know, however Zach done simplified this thing, they picked it up that fast. Because they played like a legit defense, not just running country cover 2 or basic cover 3 or rush 4, drop 7. They played chess football in the preseason. So imagine what that's going to look like when you get the starters out there that understand it a little bit more.
That's what I've been saying,
So your exotic Zach will really come through it.
See, exactly. See, Coach gets it. One time for Coach. One time for Coach, y'all. He gets it. He understands, man. Exotic Zach is going to be a thing this season. He talked about it just now. I mean, on paper, there's all the tools there that you need to do literally anything that you want to do. Mm-hmm. So Zach Orr going into year 2, again, with all this knowledge in the building from all these other assistant coaches, I'm excited to see what he's got. I'm super excited to see what he's got. Let me see what else we got here. So moving right along. Looking at, let's see, so we got Broderick Washington on the D-line, and then Aeneas Peebles backing him up as well. Not a whole lot of talk about Broderick Washington, you know.
Yeah, we know he's solid. They paid him, so he gonna play. Even though his playing time kind of weaned off toward the back end of last season, I see the same thing happening again this year. I see him being a starter, getting reps when Travis and Matabike come out, and then I see his PT weaning off. Like, even especially with the emergence of Peoples, mainly on now, and Broderick's I think more of a run guy anyway. So him and Peoples, their situations don't really cross
conflict.
Yeah, because Peoples is right now he's too small to be in there for run stuff.
Peoples, right?
Yeah, Peoples.
Yeah.
In past situations, he got an advantage, and I just can't wait to see it. I know he ain't gonna get a lot of reps to start off with, but I think he's gonna make the most out of the few he get. And I don't see him getting a lot of sacks, maybe 1 or 2, but he gonna make the quarterback get rid of the freaking football.
Yeah. Also, I'm looking here. Any surprise that John Jenkins is a shoo-in for you? Like, what do you think there?
I think John is a shoo-in for me because of what he does at the nose tackle position and bagging up Travis, especially with Travis going down with that ankle last year, and the whole run defense looked totally different when he did. I think that's why they got that big body John Jenkins to bag up Travis in case, fatigue or anything, and that the run defense don't suffer. Because I noticed it last year when Travis and Matabike went out, the run defense went out the window with them as well. Unless you tried to run outside, and we still had guys can run, but up the middle, it was open season with them 2 guys out of there. And I think that's why John Jenkins is here. If one of those guys don't make it for somebody else, I think Urban would be that guy, because I feel like if Urban gets cut, they can handshake Urban and bring him back next week.
Yeah, I mean, Brent Urban, a guy who they drafted originally, been around seemingly forever. I definitely do think that they could work out some sort of handshake. Like, hey, we're gonna bring you back. Just chill out over here for a second. John Jenkins, maybe not so much. I don't think they have that same sort of relationship with the John Jenkins. So I agree with you there. But just to kind of round it out here. Nnamdi Madubuike and Travis Jones. These are 2 guys, and we kind of touched on a little bit earlier. These are 2 guys who I am most excited for this season. We're talking about a guy in Nnamdi Madubuike. Let's just start with him. Who in 2023 had a crazy amount of sacks for interior D linemen. I want to say 13 and a half, something like that. That is absolutely just incredible for an interior lineman to be able to notch that amount of sacks in a season. So in the 2024 season, what did they do? He became the top 3 most double-team defensive tackle in the league, right? So that kind of hindered him a little bit, and he put on some weight. He said this offseason he put on some weight because he wants to be able to deal with those double teams a little bit more. Only problem is, opposite him, at Travis Jones, he picked up the slack. And, even on a bum ankle, right? He still picked up the slack, and according to PFF, graded out better than a lot of other defensive tackles in the league. Graded out even better than Nnamdi Madubuike. And again, that might have had a little bit something to do with the double teams. But my point is this. the interior pressure is probably the most underrated component of this Ravens defense to me. We can talk about, all the other luxuries all around the field, Kyle Hamilton and Malachi Starks having two really good safeties, and we'll see what Starks is, but having really two good safeties, absolute luxury. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Having outside corners like Jair Alexander, who for years has been one of the best in the league, and then having a young Nate Wiggins out of Clemson, year two, looking really good. Slot corner, Marlon Humphrey, still a top 10 corner in this league. There's pieces everywhere. Roquan Smith, there's pieces everywhere, but that interior D-line spot. And here's another thing. Quarterbacks hate interior pressure the most.
Yes, they
right?
do.
They hate it because, you have to be able to step up in the pocket. Naturally, pockets form around and kind of like a U shape around the quarterback, right? So if you have pressure coming from the top and kind of collapsing that U, where are you going to go? What are you going to do? You have to be knocked off your base, and I think that's absolutely huge against guys like Josh Allen, who we're going to have to see this year once, maybe twice, against guys like Patrick Mahomes we're going to have to see, against some of these other quarterbacks as well, Joe Burrow twice, who have good escapability. Talk a little bit about the interior D line and kind of like how that ranks in terms of like importance of position groups on this team.
So to kind of piggyback off of the U thing before I get into it, you think about a good pocket. It's like you said, it looks like a nice bowl. So it's like a nice bowl, and you get everything you want in that bowl. As much food as you want. Well, when you get interior pressure, you probably got like a teacup. You still because it's still the same shape. It's just that much smaller, and you ain't got there's no depth to it. If you got the bowl, you can kind of step up a little bit and see and move and go left, go right, or even throw. But if you got a teacup, there's nowhere for you to go but down. And that's what interior pressure does for it. And BK, I'm glad you brought that double team thing up. First two games I watched last year, 100% correct. BK is getting the pressure. He was coming off that 13 sacks, so people were doubling the crap out of him, and Travis was eating. Game 3 and 4, Travis was getting double teamed, and BK had opportunities one-on-ones I feel like he didn't capitalize on. Then Travis hurts the ankle. Now you go back to double teaming BK.
Right.
Travis wasn't as effective as he could have been on two solid ankles. So I think that number, had Travis been healthy, he wouldn't have been the most double team guy, because Travis had already in 2 games the other teams that realized, oh no, we got to take care of this other cat because he the one being disrupted.
It was because Travis hurt his ankle. That's why. That makes a lot of sense. That makes a whole lot of sense. So it's going to be interesting to see what defensive coordinators or offensive coordinators, I'm sorry, have planned for this season. Like, how do you gauge it going? Who do we double? Do you just kind of wait and see who is the more dominant? You know what I mean? Like, the Bills are going to have their work cut out for them, I think.
Yes,
I really do think so, and us for them. But it's going to be a great game.
Think about this. We get somebody in third and 8, third and long, whatever, and you send your rush package out there. You get a Mike Green on one side, you get Calvin Noel on the other. You slide Oway down and let him do something with guards, because that's what he had success doing that early in his career. And you have either BK and or Fub out there. You got 4 guys that can run, 4 guys that can get after it.
That's gonna be a scary sight. Scary sight. Man, we do have another super chat donation. This one's coming from Mod Cal, that is. Shout out to you, Cal in the house. Thank you so much for making it rain with the 5-piece in the chat. Big shout out to you. Says, got to go teach math to my littles. Hope y'all have a good week. And for those of you in the PRP Fantasy League, good luck against the defending champ. Yes, Cal did win the Fantasy League championship last year for our PRP League. So I don't think you're going to win it this year, Cal. Based off of my team, I drafted Ashton Genty. I think that Genty is going to be a huge part of, people winning their fantasy football leagues this year. I got Genty and I got Breece Hall. I don't know what Breece Hall is going to do necessarily yet, but both of those guys can catch passes out of the backfield. So good luck, Cal. I got to look at your team again, but good luck. But thanks again for your super chat donation. Always appreciate you. All right, let's go ahead and I think that actually wraps up our 53-man roster. There's also, of course, the special team stuff, which is, a given. Jordan Stout punting, Tyler Loop. Let's touch on Tyler Loop before we get out of here. Tyler Loop, what are your thoughts on the transition from being spoiled for so many years with old J Tug and going over to Tyler Loop now? What did you think about his preseason performance, and what do you expect from him in his rookie season?
I think Tucker's performance last year has eased me into Tyler Loop because seeing Tucker miss kicks, so now I don't have that expectation of Tyler Loop hitting everything when he
Right.
comes in, and so I'm ecstatic with Tyler Loop. The some extra long field goals he made when he made them, they had more yards on him. So in a push to shove situation, he might can get you 50, I'm not 55, 60, 61, 62. And he already hit one in the preseason game. And it had a little
Yeah.
bit left on it. So, and once he just gets a little bit more consistent, and he's fairly consistent now, I'm good with Tyler Loop. I think it was, I don't know if it warranted a pick, but I'm happy he's here and I'm happy he's our kicker. And hopefully, like I said earlier, the offense don't put him in situations where he got to hit them all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you there. We kind of we got to protect him. I don't want to say hide him. Like I'm not
Yeah.
saying like anything 50 and beyond. Let's just go for it on fourth down. I'm not saying that, but I will say this, and I've said it before on the same channel, that Ravens fans need to mentally prepare themselves for some struggles at kicker. And I'm not saying that because I think Tyler Loop is a bad kicker. I think he's actually pretty good. We've seen him hit from 60 plus in game, in practice, and like you said, the leg looked like it had more on it. You know what I mean? It looked like it had more on it. It looked like it could have hit from 70. But here's my thing. Ravens fans, this is why I say they have to mentally prepare, because a missed kick from Tyler Loop in the regular season, when it actually matters, because all this preseason stuff, training camp stuff is cute. I know he missed football, but when the record starts to count, if he is missing kicks, it's going to feel like emotionally a lot different than it did when Justin Tucker would miss a kick. You know what I mean? Because Justin Tucker would miss a kick, but you know that Justin Tucker has built up so much equity over the years as Ravens kicker that you have confidence that he can bounce back. Right?
Like when Tucker go out there, you can get him to go to the bathroom because it's 3 points.
Bingo.
Now
Exactly.
with Loop, you gotta wait till the commercial come on.
Right. And it's
So
going to take some time to build up that trust, just like Ravens fans had to do with Justin Tucker. I mean, we went from Billy Cundiff, and devastating, heartbreaking losses in the AFC Championship game to Justin Tucker the very next year and win a Super Bowl with him.
Yep.
So it's just he's gonna have to build the trust. If by week 4 there's no really bad misses, I would say, because I'd expect him to miss here or there. But if there's no bad misses by week 4, I think that we have our guy. But I just, again, I want to say, Ravens fans, y'all got to mentally prepare yourselves, because it's going to feel like doom and gloom. It's going to feel like the end of the world. Like, oh my gosh, we're mid-season. Super Bowl window is right here. It's actually closing. Lamar's cap hit is $76 million next year. If we don't extend them, we can't afford to have kicker struggles right now, especially not in January. Can't afford it. So that's just going to be on the mental of Ravens fans. I just want everybody to prepare themselves.
7 for every 10. 7 for every 10. For every 10, for every 10 he kicked, knock down 7, and I think he'll have his routine down by November, and then we'll start getting to see a even more consistent, maybe like a 8 or 9 of 10 by then. But early season, for every 10 kicks, and not extra points. I mean,
Not
field
extra
goals.
points. Right. Yeah.
Field goals. 7 of 10, I'm good with, because I do expect him to miss some kicks. I do.
Right.
If he go out there like I think what was the Cowboys kicker a couple years ago and didn't miss nothing, great. But I expect
Yeah.
him to miss some kicks.
Yeah. Brandon Aubrey is a very, very good kicker. I think he's probably top 3 in this league right now, if not top 2, maybe not
Right.
2. I don't know.
Maybe not too right.
Yeah, exactly. He's really good. So, I mean, again, man, all we can do is just root for the kid. I know that there's gonna come a moment, probably week 1 in Buffalo, right? Sunday night football, where the Ravens get stopped 4th and 6. I don't know, and we're at the Bills' 34-yard line, right? So what is that? How far is that
50.
for a kick?
50.
50 yards. Yeah, 50-yard kick, and we're gonna trot Tyler Loop out there. You know, Chris Collinsworth and whoever else is on. Who else is on Sunday
Like
night? Football?
Tirico.
Chris and Tirico, right? Yeah, Collinsworth and Tirico. They're gonna be like, oh, and here's Tyler Loop replacing the long time Justin Tucker, kid out of Arizona, and yeah, we've heard he's got a big leg to Mike, and we'll see what he's got here, and that crowd's going to be going crazy. That will be his real first test.
Yes.
That is going to be his real first test, and we're going to see in real time, if this guy has the stones that he's been kind of like kind of regarded to have, especially by people who went to Arizona. I see people who went to Arizona. They talk so highly of Tyler Luke, so highly of him. So again, we'll see what he's got going on. Let me see. Justin Lewis is in here. Says my favorite too. What's up, Sutton and Coach Tally? What's going on, Justin? Appreciate you for coming through. But yeah, I think that is gonna do it for this episode of the show. Want to appreciate again, big shout out, big round of applause to our guy Coach Sit to Tally Films for coming through, hanging out with us. Talking some Ravens football with us for an hour and a half now. We're only supposed to do an hour, so I hope I'm not holding you up too much.
We good.
But this has been a great conversation. We got to have you on a lot more during the season. We hope you're down for that. Alex couldn't make it today, but I'm sure he'll be on the next time you're here. So again, on his behalf, from me as well, and from the entire Rain Gang, we thank you, Coach. We appreciate you for coming on.
Appreciate y'all, man. Y'all have a good one.
Yes, sir. And with that being said, we're gonna catch you guys in the next episode on Thursday for episode 330 of the Purple Rain podcast. I will be live for Quiet Storm Sports either tomorrow morning or sometime tomorrow night. I'll keep you guys updated on Instagram. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at the Purple Rain podcast. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, as well as we still have almost 200 people watching live. Thank y'all. Shout out to y'all. But again, this has been episode 329 of PRP. We're going to catch you guys in the next one. Peace.